Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 762. It is July 7th, 2023. I'm your host this evening, Nick Henderson, joined by Brad Simons.
Hello.
Brad Simons, what's the best movie you've seen in the past 2 weeks?
Well, I watched the I went over to YouTube and watched when they just stick all the cutscenes together. The movie version of Spider-Man on PlayStation 5.
Shut your pie hole.
With all the gameplay
Brad.
removed, It's
Nolan Hedstrom's joining us. Nolan, what's the best movie you've seen in the past few weeks?
I haven't seen any movies.
Nothing? Not even at home?
Nope. At home, I've been catching up on TV. So we just finished The Bear season 2. Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good.
That's a good show.
Cool. Wait, how far are you, Brad? Have you gotten to the flashback episode?
No.
Holy shit, dude! There's so many people.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that one.
I didn't hear about it, and so every single person was a shock.
I saw the promos for this season, and they had like everybody in there. So
all right, gotcha.
Yeah. Crispy's joining us tonight. Crispy, what's the best movie you've seen in the past couple weeks?
Final Fantasy XIV.
Y'all have like the worst. I mean,
the real answer is Asteroid City. Obviously, that movie was incredible. Right. But we talked about it last week, and I don't want to mention something we've already talked about.
All right,
again.
Cool. Chris Davis is also joining us.
Happy Friday.
What is the best movie you've seen in the past few weeks?
Probably Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Dial Destiny. I think the CG in that was a lot better than it could have been. It was definitely a lot better than what I saw in The Flash.
I will say this. The new Indiana Jones movie probably has the most like the de-aging tech that I've ever seen in a single film, and it is the most impressive. Except for the fact that I knew if I didn't already know that I was looking at a de-aged person, I probably would not have.
There are some really good shots in there, but there are also some kind of egregious ones where you can definitely tell it's kind of bad.
I mean, it's also like it's there, so you're paying extra close attention to it. But whatever, that's neither here nor there.
Terminator Dark Fate actually has done it the best so far, I think.
I've only seen maybe the best movie I've seen in the past weeks. Let me tell you, I watched Decision to Leave. Have y'all seen that movie?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
saying? I'm familiar with it.
South Korean film, very, very good. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I wanted to start the show. We were talking about movies before we went live, so that's why I wanted to start the show this way.
How did you end up watching that one?
Well, funny you ask. Last year I tried to do this thing. I challenged myself to watch, do like movies A to Z, like so A B like straight down the alphabet, and I was gonna try and make it through the whole before the end of the year, make it through the alphabet, just watching a movie like that, and I made it to like M, and then I dropped off. So I'm trying it again this year, and I'm on D. So I just went through my watch list and I picked Decision to Leave.
Got a lot of time the rest of the year.
I mean,
that's
really,
like
this shouldn't be that.
Movies a week.
You can double them up.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I'm really behind. But yeah, that's the short answer is I'm doing A to Z and I'm on D. So that's why I watched it.
What was M from last year?
Oh, you would ask me. I will have to go back through my list and look.
You remember that you stopped on M, but you don't remember what it was?
I know what it is.
It was
Marvel Spider-Man the movie, no commentary on YouTube.
This
no gameplay, no commentary.
We are. Did I ever tell y'all when I was young and very, very dumb, and the internet was new? I had learned about this little game called Final Fantasy VII. And I was trying to consume all the media I could about this, and I heard there was some crazy movie thing that all this whatever blah blah blah. So I'll go on this site called eBay, and I buy it, and it ships it to me, and it's literally like 4 DVDs of just someone playing the game.
That's
and I had no idea that's what I was buying.
That's what Twitch used to be.
Yep.
Oh man, the internet's a weird fucking place. All right. Anyways, let's get into it. Everything's a little weird this week. It's it's a Friday night. We usually record on Thursdays. We're all going to be talking about basically the same game tonight. We're here to talk about Dave, the motherfucking diver. We're going to get to that here in a minute. But of course, housekeeping and Fantasy Critic updates. Which again, weird week. Not a lot to update you on here because we have no new bids on Fantasy Critic this week.
We had a pickup.
We had a pickup from last week. The Gravity Circuit. That was me, baby. I picked up Gravity Circuit.
That's a good pick, do you want to say anything about that? That seems a little like out of left field for you, right? Because you're usually all about pick with my heart, and this doesn't typically seem like a Nick game. I mean, this is the one that Chris Davis was going on and on about, but then he was out of slots, so I was like, who the fuck picked this up?
You're right. So I have spent the last, couple weeks like trying to put together a game plan, right? Because obviously I'm going to have to play smart for the rest of the year. And I also do want to pick with my heart, pick games that I believe in. And that was a game that I had on my short list that I was interested in, didn't know much about. And then they dropped a new trailer, showed up on my Twitter feed, and I watched it. And I was like, holy shit, this looks kind of like fire. And then it said coming out July 14th. So that's next Friday. And I was like, oh shit. That'll put some points on the board. I'm pretty sure that's coming out soon. Because I don't really have anything on the
you're looking for
horizon.
stuff that drops soon.
I was not necessarily, but like sooner. Like I need to put some more points on the board. So yeah, like it was an obvious choice for someone who wanted to get some more points on the board quickly.
I hope it's good for multiple reasons. But
I mean, I think it seems like 80 worst case scenario, right? Knock on wood.
Have you played a Mega Man game? I mean, because obviously
I have dabbled in Mega Man. I have never played a full Mega Man game.
Well, the sad truth is that once you played one, you have pretty much played every one of them but Legends.
Okay.
I don't like what
that seems like
it's harsh, but it's actually
no, it's not.
True?
Mega Man 0 is really different.
Yeah, so Zero is very different. The X games are very different. Even within the X games, there's a lot of what.
Let's talk about basic overall formula.
I think what Chris Davis is trying to say is a lot of the games in the numbered series and stuff are very similar. So if you've played one, you will know what you're getting into if you play a different one. I don't think he's saying they're all the exact same thing.
I mean, So what I will say about it is I have never played. I mean, I've dabbled. I've never played a full Mega Man game, and the fact that I have never done that has nothing to do with the fact that I think I dislike Mega Man. But there was something really appealing to me about Gravity Circuit because it's like, okay, this looks like a love letter to Mega Man that's not Mega Man. So it's like I can play it without feeling like the pull to play like 20 other games that come with it. So I was like, maybe I was just waiting for like a spiritual successor to come along and kind of capture the vibe of a Mega Man game, and seems like that's what this is. Ooh. So that was kind of my thought process there. Not to mention
it has a really good soundtrack so far.
It does. I mean, but like that's pretty typical of Mega Man 2, right? So like they all have pretty solid soundtracks. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this, and that's coming out next week. So looking
solid. Every indie game on the planet has like a good soundtrack. This shit rips, man. Gravity Circuit has a really good soundtrack.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
You know what else has a really good soundtrack? Dave the motherfucking Diver.
It does.
Oh my god.
It's got a good soundtrack. Wish I could fucking listen to it with the in-game goddamn music listener.
It's surprising. At least when you go diving, I'm surprised they don't let you choose. But it's
so stupid.
That seems like an obvious thing they were probably going to patch in at some point, right? We're all probably done with it.
This game was in early access. You think that if it was going to go in, maybe
into it already.
Yeah, maybe they're just a bunch of stupid dum-dums. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe, but they made a pretty cool game.
Speaking of Fantasy Critic and early access and Dave the Diver, can we talk about why I didn't pick this game up?
Why didn't you pick this game up, Nolan? It's on sale.
No. I meant in Fantasy Critic. Why I didn't pick it up?
Yeah,
I didn't know you were super.
Let's play.
So I had played it in early access a little.
Oh, you did say that.
this game is nothing like what it was in early access. There is so much more going on, and I think if I would have known what I know now, then I definitely would have picked it up. I thought it was going to be scoring in like the low 80s. That's the game that I played. That's what I was aware of. And I was like, it's going to be solid. I knew I was going to pick it up eventually. I just did not think it was going to be what it is. And now that I'm approximately 24 hours into the game, it's pretty fucking good. So it is super addictive.
We're obviously going to talk about Dave the Diver here in just a little bit in more detail. But a lot of us here have played at least some of it. And we all seem to be pretty positive about it. This seems like a pretty like one of the bigger like hypest indie releases of the year so far, which is why
I still feel like it's flying a little not under the radar, but
which is why I'm a little surprised by the number of reviews. This is why I keep bringing it up. When we're in the Fantasy Critic channel and I'm talking about,
because it's a big game. It's a big game, and like I don't think people really knew about it until like that first IGN, like the very first review I think that came out was that IGN review, and I think once people saw that, they're like, oh, what the fuck is this game, and why did they rate it so highly? And then people started playing it, and
so we're probably going to start getting
more
a bunch
reviews
more reviews
are going to start coming, but it's got 12 reviews on Metacritic now,
I'm just saying, like, and the reason I'm kind of trolling you about it, because every time I pop in, I'm like, you're like, oh, it's doing so well, and I'm like, but it only has like 10 reviews, and I don't think it's going to be an L. Obviously, I think we're all pretty excited about it. I think it's going to score really well. But like, I'm sitting here because like right now there's so few reviews that like every single review that new review that drops like dramatically changes the score. So like I want to see where it hasn't been.
It's either been an 89 or a 90 or a 91 the entire time. It has not.
I did watch it go from 91 to 89 in like one new review dropped. I know.
But you know how Open Critic works.
Yes.
They only
look at top critics.
Top critics, yeah.
Right. Which is why I'm saying
again, I don't think there's going to be a wave of we've played and we think it's stinky.
No, of course not. I don't think that's the case either. But
stinky.
I was looking at like some of the other maybe like quote unquote low profile indie games that have come out this year, right? Just to kind of see a ballpark of like how many reviews lots of like this kind of smaller game gets, and it's usually like they usually get like 30 to 40 or something like that, right? So I'm just kind of like. The thing's been out now for over a week, and it's still sitting at like
under the
11,
radar.
So.
This is not the kind of thing. Like sometimes you come out of these indie showcases, and people won't shut up about some games, right? Like like the Devolver Digital showcases, and even like like Day of the Devs or Cozy Games or whatever. And this was not one of the games that was getting that sort of buzz and talk. So it's not surprising, but it'll get more and more reviews throughout the year. Like is it out on Switch already? Is it on Switch?
It's coming out on Switch. It's not out yet. When it comes out on Switch, I think it's going to have a huge boom.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a perfect Switch game. I mean, I've been playing it on the Steam Deck, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I played it on the Steam Deck today. I took it to work, and I was like, that's like just the chillest like lunch hour game. It was so lovely. But yeah, anyway, so we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll circle back around, talk about Dave the Diver shortly. I do want to quickly go through. There's been a few minor news topics I want to talk about tonight before we move on. It's been a bit of a slow news week, but there were a couple things that I thought were interesting. One of which being because we haven't heard much from IO Interactive lately, and they formally announced their opening of their new studio in the UK in Brighton, and they're hiring up to work on the new 007 game. And I only wanted to mention that because it's been kind of quiet on the IO Interactive front, and we haven't heard much of anything about this 007 game.
There has been like rumors of and speculation about other projects, like Project Dragon, I think is theirs, right? But they also have come up in like the talks, like the court case with Activision. I mean with Microsoft,
and
Activision acquisition of Activision, right? Where because there was stuff saying that like they had tried to like maybe purchase IO Interactive. Like they've been in the news, but in weird ways, I should say.
Yeah. So, and again, there's not a lot to like really dig into here. I just wanted to kind of like bring it up. I mean, they've been in the headlines, but it's nothing really we've been focusing a lot on in our own conversations.
Like,
and
I'm surprised we dodged that whole topic last week. Honestly,
I mean, I think it's just a matter of like how interested are we in even talking about it. Like most podcasts that I've listened to that are talking about that acquisition and whatnot are like they sound like they're talking about it out of sheer obligation, and none of them enjoy actually having the conversation. And I think the luxury of being able to
it's like actually kind of fascinating, like the stuff like the level of executive that's just up on the stand talking about things that you never hear them talk about is kind of crazy. And really putting it all out on
the fucking numbers out behind some of these games, how much,
and not just the numbers, just like Xbox saying, we're third place and we're always going to be third place and we're sad, and it's like, it's weird. It's weird.
I mean,
no, like there's definitely
emails from like 2001 saying that they're going to buy Sony out of the business or whatever. So they're going to spin Sony out of the business, and it's like the emails are there. It's real. It's crazy.
For sure.
Yeah, it is interesting, but I think it's a lot to follow, and it's about following like the right people on social media.
No, that is true. That is true. And we could probably dig into it and find corners of that conversation that we would like to dig into, but we haven't really, and I feel like the ship has kind of sailed on that at the moment. At least it's kind of died down a little bit. When something actually
in another week we're gonna find out that it's gone through. But
yeah,
I don't know. I thought Chris Grubb up here was gonna be. Is he up there for y'all? He's up there for me. Chris Grubb was gonna be doing the reporting from the field on this one.
I mean, there's nothing really to report right now. I mean, IO Interactive, they wrapped up Hitman Freelancer mode in January. And they've got Project 007, and they've also got Project Fantasy that they're working on. So,
they're doing.
I wasn't talking about
game.
IO, but
those are well into pre-production. We're not going to see them for years.
You don't think we're going to see 007 for years?
If we see it, it's probably going to be at the earliest in 2025.
Everything takes.
That's not a stretch in my opinion.
Yeah, the earliest for
when did Hitman 3 come out?
2028, right?
Yeah.
When did Hitman 3 come out?
Hitman 3 came out 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking it was like 4 years ago or something. I don't know.
Hey, when IO Interactive steps out and does something new, it's pretty exciting. Remember Kane and Lynch and Mini Ninjas?
And they made Freedom Fighters, okay?
They did make Freedom Fighters, and Freedom Fighters is really good.
Yes, it is.
I don't know what we're talking about here. I like IO Interactive. I think it's exciting them working on anything new, but the news topic is they opened a new studio. So.
Yeah, I mean the news topic is pretty light. I was gonna try and end it by asking you guys when you think we're gonna see at least get our first glimpse of 007. But it looks like
next year.
I mean, to be honest, I'm more curious about the other projects.
Like a teaser, maybe.
I don't even think it's going to go into production until next year.
But here's the thing. You got to remember, like, these days, and this is not how I obviously think businesses should be run, but the reality of the matter is, like, a lot of times these games are announced and shown way ahead of being ready because they use this as to attract developers to come on board and help them. So it's basically a recruitment tool. That there's been a whole conversation about why they announced Perfect Dark so fucking far out, and a lot of that is speculated to have to do with they're using it as like a recruiting mechanism. So I wouldn't be surprised if IO does the same kind of thing here with 007.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe that's why Maybe that's why we got a glimpse of Fable so fucking early. Same reason. So. We shall see. The only other thing I wanted to talk about headline-wise, and this is a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, but there's been a lot of talk this week about a remake or remaster of the original Red Dead Redemption coming out before the end of the year.
Didn't hear about that.
It is popping up everywhere. So I'm not saying that is like proof or anything because it's getting picked up all over the place.
So
and
Red Dead Redemption, not Red Dead Revolver.
Red Dead Redemption. But there was a financial call this week, where they basically said they currently have plans to launch 2 new iterations of existing games before the end of I think Q1 2024. And that just kind of like these rumors were already circulating before this call.
Who currently has the most Fantasy Critic books? Who's still in the game?
If it's a remaster, it doesn't count.
Okay. Yeah, if it's a
remaster, of course, doesn't count. But if it was remake,
but yeah. The rumors are starting to turn, and people are starting to say now that like this might be way more than just a remaster. This might be a full-blown remake.
Right? Because wasn't a remaster like
it was out of the question,
canceled like years and years ago? Like
the code was so fucked. And like that, I remember that's one of the things they talked about was that game was so hobbled together that they were like, we can't even port this to other consoles or systems because it is such a shit show on the back end. Like it barely runs. And for what it is, it's pretty good. But they were like, that's one of the reasons we never saw it again was because the only way they could do it again is
would you remake it?
A remake, not a remaster.
Right. So, it wouldn't be surprising to me if this is like, ever since Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, it's like, oh man, they kind of already did a lot of the legwork. Like, they're the entire map from the original game is in Red Dead Redemption 2.
I wouldn't be surprised because the groundwork is set for them to essentially just they already have John Marston. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Just take the assets and pull them over. Because also one thing I will say is a lot of the love we all have for Red Dead Redemption has some pretty thick Coke bottle rose tinted glasses. Because if you go back and look at that game, holy shit, the story's great, but holy shit, it looks bad. Well, like at the time it looked great, but comparing like that to like Red Dead 2, like holy shit,
it is definitely a big jump. But I almost feel like calling Red Dead Redemption 1 look like a game that looks bad would almost be like looking at The Last of Us 1 and saying that game looks bad by today's standards.
I think the most we can hope for here, because this is a project that has been in the works and was put on hold after the GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas remasters bombed. So they put it on pause, and it went quiet for
which is weird
while.
Because I would imagine. I mean, we don't know anything officially about this project yet, but I would imagine this is not a game that's being remade by an external studio. I would imagine this is being done internally.
Yeah, but there's also like the image problem. Like, if you're trying to convince the public to buy a new copy of Red Dead Redemption, and they see how bad these remasters of their seminal franchise went, like, what are they supposed to expect?
Yeah. I mean, it would be a hard sell.
But I think something like the GTA I think the best case scenario we can hope for is they take the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine, import all the assets into it, keep all the gameplay mechanics exactly the same as the original version of Redemption.
I like
so
that.
It's a visual upgrade, but
they
not
don't even have to import that many
upgrade.
assets. Honestly, like fucking 80% of the assets are already there.
I mean, at least for like the world, right? Like it sounds to me, they might have to like redo a lot of the like the cutscenes and stuff.
They gotta do
but in engine cutscenes.
Yeah, but you got to work on the animations. You got to do the scripting, the nav meshing for the AI. A lot of that stuff you got to reconsider. So
the point is, this is all rumor and speculation at the moment. But the heavy, like the big part of this rumor is that like this will be dropping before the end of the year, which means we'd probably, and speculation is that it's going to be announced sometime in August. So like those kinds of things coming together, it seems like this seems like kind of a safe bet.
I mean, it would fund Take-Two's portfolio for the rest of the fiscal year. It would make sense for the lead up to GTA 6
too. I was like, I don't think Rockstar needs help funding anything.
No, they don't. They absolutely don't.
They have GTA 5 money.
Yeah, but they've got investors they got to answer to, and they're just going to demand more money no matter what. I
suppose. Okay. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to mention. Headlines. Like I said, it's been kind of a slow news week. So let's switch gears. We're going to talk about Final Fantasy XVI again, but before we do that, I want to talk about Dave. What?
Oh, damn it! I thought you were going to mention it, so I was going to just swoop in here and say, Yuji Naka got sentenced.
Yes,
2.5 years in prison. Well, Sonic is going to be in prison for 2.5 years.
Actually, not that. That's not quite the case. So he got a 2.5 years prison sentence with a suspended probationary 4-year sentence alongside. So in other words, for the next 4 years, if he does anything illegal, he will immediately go to prison and spend 2.5 years in there.
Well, hold on. Probation? Does he pass go and does he collect $200?
No, he actually has to pay two separate fines, one of 2 million yen and one of 170 million yen, which is the equivalent about $1.2 million.
I do like how Chris Davis decided to answer that perfectly straight-faced.
My question is, does this make Sonic cooler? Like, is he more like
edgy?
Yeah, is he edgy?
Yeah. Dude, he should like kill a guy.
No,
people would really be
a hardened criminal.
Sonic the hardened criminal.
We have edgy Sonic. It's called Shadow.
Shadow the Hedgehog. Has Sonic become Shadow at this point? I don't know.
That's what the next movie's about.
Is there anything else you want to squeeze in here before we talk about Dave the Diver? Okay. I'm going to take your silence as a no. Let's do it. Let's talk about Dave the motherfucking Diver.
So Nick had mentioned, it's a great game to play during lunch, right?
Yes.
Just a quick little bite. How long will you say your dives are, Nick?
Mine, right? So I'm about
when you leave, it usually gives you like a little count, like, hey, you were just down there for 5 minutes or whatever.
Mine are averaging about 6 minutes right now, I would say. I'm only about 3 hours in, so I don't think I think everyone here who has played more than I have. But yeah, I'm averaging about 6 minutes per dive.
So I don't have an average of my dives right now. I would say they're closer to 45 minutes to an hour now.
Jesus
with
Christ.
them getting up to, I think my longest dive so far was like an hour and a half, maybe hour 30. Maybe hour 40.
Jesus,
God! But sometimes you eat shit. How bad would that feel? Like if you get eaten by a shark?
No, so yes, it would feel bad. But that's the thing, is you're not always just diving, and so that's y'all haven't gotten. I don't want to say the game hasn't started for you yet.
Say it, Nolan. Just fucking say it. You know you want to.
It kind of hasn't, and that's one of the reasons that
What chapter?
No, I'm on chapter 4, maybe.
That's the chapter I'm on.
So real quick before we get too far into it, because
maybe
like we said,
on 5, I'm not sure.
Dave the Diver is a little bit. It is, as of right now, kind of flying under the radar a little bit, right? This is so. Brad picked this up on the Fantasy Critic. We talked a little bit about it when that happened. But for those of you who are not aware of what this is, maybe I'm not the best person to like pitch it here, but more or less, this is kind of like a sim experience where you are supplying the fish to a sushi restaurant by diving into the ocean and fishing. And then, so during the day, you dive and you fish, right? And you explore underwater, and then you return to your boat and you go back at night, and then you manage your restaurant. So you're setting up the menu, you're hiring staff, you're running food out to people, you're cleaning off countertops, you're upgrading your restaurant, that kind of thing.
You're managing the restaurant.
Yeah, it's a management sim / I don't know what you would call the diving sim aspect of it, but like it's almost kind of like two different Sims games kind of mashed into one.
Yeah, Diner Dash plus, yeah,
a little bit of Diner Dash. And again,
it's similar to Diner Dash, but you're the one who has to collect the ingredients. They don't just show up.
Yeah.
But that being said, you now have the ability to choose those ingredients. Say you want to serve a certain dish at your restaurant because maybe it has a good flavor or a good palate. People like it a lot, or it gets a lot of money.
This game also makes me hungry as fuck.
Yeah, for sure. You can also focus on finding more of that fish when you're diving, especially because the game has the enhancement mechanic where you can enhance a dish, and so you need more of that fish to enhance it.
Can I ask you a question, Nolan, about that while we're on the menu? Because it's something I'm not sure about, but you played a lot more.
So I was going to ask the same question. I'm pretty sure.
Is there a downside to the auto refreshing of the sushi on the menu?
No.
Is always advantageous just to do one and then turn on auto?
Yes and no. Yes, because obviously if it's a super expensive dish, maybe not, because then one might go to waste. or like you know what I'm saying, because obviously the way the auto supply works in the game is when the last one is taken, say you put 4 in there and then auto supply, when the last one is taken, it automatically puts another one from your stock into there.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a fish that sells for like $250, you just essentially threw away $250. So what you
so
can
I'm making
do
a mistake then, because I'm setting everything on my menu to auto refresh.
No, you can for sure. You can for sure.
Okay.
And what I will say is things do get hectic, and if you don't have that auto supply on, you might miss out on selling some of the either more higher selling dishes, or you might miss out on selling any of the actual dishes, and they might just get the whatever the like rice and nori, whatever that like one-off side dishes that doesn't sell for a whole lot at all. You definitely don't want that to happen. So yes, I would say definitely early on, when you have a low staff count and your staff aren't very good, it's very advantageous to auto supply. I will generally manually supply my best sellers and then auto supply like the rest of the stuff, because like right now I think I have like 8 dishes or something that I'm serving, and so obviously like I only have like a few of them are like the top tier stuff, and I'll just manually check on those every once in a while.
All right, so here's a quick question. And a lot of this is kind of coming because I think the game becomes a little bit more complicated when you come back to the restaurant at night, right? That's where a lot like it's kind of a chill experience when you're down fishing because you have very clear objectives.
I mean, it can be chill, but then all of a sudden you're low on oxygen and a shark is attacking you, and it can get clustery pretty quick.
Yeah,
but in the restaurant, like it's like you're juggling. You're having to like and like you said early on,
it's easier too once you start hiring people.
Right. I've only hired one person so far. I can't even afford to hire a second person. So like I'm saving money.
When you have like multiple servers and they can pour drinks themselves, like it's not as hectic as it is early on. Correct. But then they start introducing other things. So,
but that being said, now you have a whole lot more patrons. Yeah. So just because you have people helping you, well, now all of a sudden there's literally 7 or 8 people ordering dishes at the same time. Yeah. So it can still be pretty hectic.
Right.
Wait, the servers start pouring drinks themselves?
If you gotta
train, so
spend the money
you can train your staff to learn learn skills. And then that can also help you to figure out who would be better where, because some of them are definitely more kitchen focused, some are more front of house focused. Not every front of house person can serve drinks. Not every front of house person can clean up dirty dishes. So you kind of have to figure out who you want to put where and whatnot.
I'm so impressed with this game's ability to like even very early on. Like I said, I'm only about 3 hours into this game, but like how quickly but how succinctly it starts layering mechanics and systems. Like you start
because it stops.
Yeah, like
once again 24 hours in, I just unlock new mechanics and stuff like that, and new abilities and new. Yeah, it's still going.
Does the pacing of the way that, because it seems like early on, not even early on in the game, like it's like something new is going on like every day. Does that slow down? Because honestly,
yes, I think this game that's one of the problems I had with this game is it early on, especially you don't have a second to chill. Like it is constantly
Dragon Quest Builders. Remember Dragon Quest Builders, where it's a brilliant game, but they're kind of hand holding your way through every second of it.
And it sucks because you're like, hey, just let me fucking 5 minutes. Let me play the game. Let me just kind of like chill in the water for a little bit. So yeah, I agree that early on that happens. I will say that does start to slow down to an extent, and they kind of stretch out the new stuff. But the way they stretch it out is you kind of decide when you want it to happen by completing quests. So there will be certain things where it's like, hey, go do this thing. And if you never do it, like the game doesn't, you can just keep catching fish, serving stuff, catching fish, serving stuff. And like the next thing doesn't happen until you decide that. That being said, there are certain things, and I don't know how it works because I've never failed it. But there will be like special guests that come to the restaurant. And you have like, oh, in 3 days, this guest is going to show up.
The calendar system.
The calendar system. Be ready. I don't know what happens if you fail those. Like, I don't know if it gives you another chance or something like that, or if the game just fails.
Too, because Well, when I first started playing the game, and like you see all the things on the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, okay, well, a lot of this is probably just going to be bullshit. But then it's like, oh no, the way they keep layering stuff in there, you need all of that stuff, and it seems so smart. Like
Mm-hmm.
It turns out the only thing that's bullshit is the music app.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think my only real reasoning that they don't let you do it now is because you technically can't use your phone underwater. It's not a real excuse. It's still dumb. I do agree. I wish they would let you choose the music that's playing. But what I wanted to bring up, Nick, is I'm assuming where you're at in the game. Morning comes, you go for a dive, you catch some fish. Afternoon, you maybe kind of do one or two things, then you go dive again, and then it's evening and you sell fish. Right? That's your day.
That's my day. Yes.
Okay. I do like 4 or 5 things before I even go for a dive in the morning. I'm managing a fish farm. I'm now have crops. And I believe I'm about to start having new styles of crops. I'm not 100% sure. I'm doing a whole lot before I even get in the water in the morning. Like the game keeps coming at you. There's actually, I don't want to say spoilers, but there's something that happens in this footage that I did not see happening. It's like a side mission with Dr. Bacon out of nowhere. The guy, one of the great NPCs, dude. How about what is his name? Duff, the weapon guy.
Yeah,
dude. How about this fucking weeaboo guy? Dude, he's fun.
I think what's kind of surprised me the most. I mean, I knew it was going to be kind of a charming game, right? But I wasn't expecting this level of just like, I love the dialogue, I love the characters, I love the little hilarious like melodramatic cutscenes they do when you do like simple things like you research a new dish or whatever, and it does this like super dramatic like camera pull back, and there's the chef, right, and like the moon's behind him and he's like dicing stuff on the board. Like it's just and there's like, so I've seen, so I don't know if they keep kind of like doling that kind of stuff out throughout the experience, or if it starts getting repetitive, but like a lot of that stuff is just really cool, and it makes me hungry. Like it's so good. It's so good.
The other thing, you were talking about like, I'm underwater so long. Well, that's because I'm not just catching fish. I'm racing horses. Seahorses.
A lot of the stuff is in the trailer,
there's like a casino style thing where I'm doing games. Dude, like it is some, and I want to agree with Brad that there's some stuff in the trailer, so it's not exactly spoilery, but there's kind of maybe an underwater civilization you find.
The art that I picked for the backdrop of tonight's overlay is kind of the underwater civilization.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And so it just keeps coming. And like I said, I think I just, when I was playing earlier today, unlocked some new stuff that I'm doing that I've never done before. And so yeah, it's like the boss battles are a lot of fun, all very unique. I've fought 4 or 5 maybe boss battles. I now have there's a quest board in my game that I'm picking up quests and doing quests for the quest board. Dude, there is so much, and like I posted a screenshot in Discord.
That's like I really want to know.
I don't know.
Is there an end?
Oh, there's definitely going to be an end. But
Nick, have you encountered people combat yet in the water?
There's people combat.
There's people combat.
Yep.
Yep. Gun on gun violence.
Gun on gun violence.
I believe Brad's talking about John. You see John again, Brad. Dude, Nick, there's so much going on, and I posted a screenshot in our Discord the other day saying, "Hey, name that game," because I couldn't for $1 million. I don't know when that comes back. It's a interesting screenshot that looks nothing like Dave the Diver. I'm sure it's going to come back, but yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I've unlocked now 1 mini game on my phone that I can play because early on they have no mini games. I don't know how many more there are.
Or something, right?
What? I haven't gotten that yet. I would love a Tamagotchi on my phone.
I think I heard that.
Hey, Nolan, this is kind of a loaded question. I apologize. Has this game made you put down Zelda?
Yes and no. I'm not like putting down Zelda like I'm never going to play it again. It's just more of this.
It's moved to position 2.
Yeah, it's scratching an itch, especially because similar to something like Stardew Valley, it has that just one more day thing.
Yeah.
Just one more dive. But like I said, the problem is my dives aren't like 6 minutes anymore. My dives are like hours long. I'm like doing, multiple things. And like I said, that's like an hour-long dive. Well, that was my morning, and now it's afternoon. And Nick, later on, you're gonna get to start diving at nighttime too. And it like gets like so much you can do. Dude, it's spoopy at nighttime.
Does Dave ever increase his stamina bar, or is that poor man always?
Dude, he is always huffing. He's always huffing. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, oftentimes when I pick up like a dish, or I'll look at the queue and you can kind of see who wants what. If I see something that it's someone that wants it at the end of the bar, sometimes I won't pick it up. I'll just like, I just need to grind some wasabi real quick. Like I'm not gonna pick that up. I'll let one of my staff members do that.
One of my favorite things too, and this is just a silly little. I mean, there's obviously mechanics and systems tied to this, but like one of the apps on your phone is like an Instagram type app, right? And you can as you build up, as you gain customers and followers, and you build reputation. Like obviously you get rewards for like you level up your rank in that on that like social media platform, whatever. But it's like after every night you're seeing the customers that just came in. And that you served, like posting pictures of the food that they served, and I'm just scrolling through them, going like, "Oh, this looks fucking delicious."
It's the presentation that is so absurd because most indie games do not get this level of
polish
time spent on like the presentation and all the little touches, and it's crazy. Like those Cookstagram posts are too good.
Yeah, Cookstagram.
Like, and they keep coming. It's bizarre. It's crazy.
So Ravixi in chat just asked what my favorite gun is. Early on, I probably would have said the sniper, but the problem where I'm at now, it depends. It depends on what I'm trying to do.
So fish.
Yeah. So am I trying
you want the 3-star fish?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So if I'm trying to, go after like some big sharks or something, whatever. Yeah, the sniper rifle is very powerful. But when it comes to like, I'm trying to collect certain fish because I know, I just need like 20 more and I can enhance this dish one more time. I'm probably going in with a net gun because I'm wanting to catch a bunch of them to make sure their quality is high, because then that gives you even more like fillets, as it were. Sometimes I do prefer the grenade launcher because later on you can upgrade. Oh, Nick hasn't seen grenade launchers.
Dude, I have like 2 guns. What are you talking about? Like I have like a harpoon gun, and I have a thing that shoots like 3 harpoons but only goes a very short distance or whatever. And that's pretty much it.
Sweet summer child.
I've barely scratched the surface of this yet. So
yeah, there is a whole lot. Like Brad said, in regards to like kind of like the polish and like kind of like all the like when you go to enhance a dish and it switches to Bancho and he's doing like an anime cutscene of like how he's delicately folding the rice and like laying the fish and all this stuff. Similar things happen later on, Nick, when you're upgrading guns, but it's duff and it's more like it's super like I don't know how to like otaku, like very like anime nerd.
I've seen the first one, like the first one.
The first one,
the gun is pretty hilarious.
Dude, it's so good.
It's just got an insane amount of personality and scope. Apparently, like I'm gonna be honest, like obviously, like I got caught wind of this because of the Fantasy Critic, because I didn't know about it until Brad bid on it, and then I kind of looked at it and like. I'm gonna be honest. Like I was like I like sushi, and this looks chill and makes me hungry. I'm gonna try this out, and it is so much. It's so much deeper than I ever would have expected, and I've only barely scratched the surface of it at this point.
Well, I can dive 500 meters deep, Nick.
I can go like 90, I think, 80 or 90, and that's just it's crazy. This is such a delightful game. I don't know what else we want to say about it at this point, but I think Chris Davis. He sounds like you haven't played it yet, but you've added it to like you're planning on playing it.
It is in my cart on Steam. I was just wanting to watch some footage of it before I actually bought it.
Oh, well, watch a trailer. I mean, honestly, when I saw like like a gameplay trailer that featured a lot of like little teasers of a lot of stuff no one's been talking about. This is when I started posting like, there's a storm coming gifs in Fantasy Critic, because I had like a really good feeling about this one, and sure enough.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, I've said this in the past. I feel like every year we look back on the year, and there's always a couple. There's a 2 or 3 indie games that really stand out as like some of just the absolute bangers of the year, if not some of the best games of the year. And I think Dave the Diver seems poised to be one of those games.
It doesn't have like that like level
what
of
the fuck? There's a boat chase going on. I just look at.
He was just solving puzzles with like somebody that wasn't Dave.
I look
on land.
Yep. There's a whole lot going on in this game. It like I said, like when I played this the other night, I didn't know this was coming. When I went to record footage, if I would have known this something like, I probably wouldn't have recorded this. But then the problem was, I was like, well, I'm not going to stop, and it's not like spoilery. It's just like a fun little. But yeah, you don't realize that this game has this in it when you start it, because I don't know what else I haven't seen yet. And I'm sure there's other stuff.
Dude, this is the Resident Evil 4 of indie games. It's just the kitchen sink of ideas.
I get this sense that like, I don't know how big the team is that made this, or if maybe it's just one person. I don't, or like not one person, but like
no, it's like
a
person. Like a Korean publisher that's like pretty big.
So hold on, I wanted to bring that up because I was not aware that this was published by Nexon until like the other day. I was not paying attention. If y'all didn't know, Nexon is the company that's going after Darkest Dungeon, because they're claiming they stole a bunch of their IP and stuff like that. Which the Darkest Dungeon team has very much vehemently been saying that is false.
Fight.
And so they're going at it in the Korean courts, and like the problem is it's been taken off of Steam because of that.
Really?
And so their more recent playtests, they literally have to just link you a file to download, and they're like, please
which game
not.
Which game has been taken off?
Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, it's been taken off of Steam in.
Sorry. I'm being silly because it's a Friday night.
Dark and Darker.
Dark and Darker. Yeah, that's
okay. I was gonna say.
Shit!
Let me rephrase. Sorry. Yes, Dark and Darker has been delisted because of all of this legal stuff. And the more recent playtest,
oh my god,
they literally are like, hey, here's our Twitter account with a download link. Please don't download from anywhere else because you'd be downloading spyware and shit. But because Nexon is suing them because they're saying, hey, you stole our stuff. And I think I briefly brought it up a while back. But yeah, I didn't realize that's they published this game until like literally the other day.
I mean, they're a massive company. They
I know that now.
Online, like they like publish Counter-Strike in Korea and stuff, like stuff like that. And they made Maple Story, like they're a big online game.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I get it.
I mean, all I was going to say about just this, because again, I don't know how big the actual development team was that made this, but it seems, this strikes me very much as like a game that like a smaller team would make, but in early access, and then just as time goes on, it's just like, because it's an early access, because it's getting so much traction, it's like all these ideas that they're having during development are just like they can realize them because they're not targeting a specific date for so long. It's just kind of like, well, what we have time, we have wiggle room, like how much can we keep adding, and they just keep layering things on top more and more until the game is just big, and like it's great. I feel like in a lot of games you'd be throwing the kitchen sink at it, and like that would be like a detriment to it. Like it would be like spread too thin. I don't know how they're getting away with it here. Again, I haven't experienced a lot of the stuff, but like Nolan, you're 24 hours into this and you seem to be loving it. So like they did something right. It's got the magic sauce. It's
for sure. And like I said, it's similar to like, like a Stardew Valley or any of those other games that it's a, like I said, it's just one more dive. Let me just do one more dive. Oh, but now there's a cutscene and Duff shows up and he's telling me about this new thing, and now this other thing's been unlocked. Oh, now I have some special gloves that lets me interact with the world in a different way. Or now, it's just like it's cool. Now I got to try those out. And it just it really gets that hook. That it's those types of games that it's on a day loop. And it's you do one thing, two things, three things, and then the day restarts. And it's just like, you can't stop mid dive. You can't like you have to finish your dive, and once those dives start to get long,
you can decide to cut your
so
dive
yes,
short.
You can say like I can cut, but I have so much inventory space left, or I was trying to get this one thing, and so it's one of those things where it's just very easy to a session, like a single day long session for me early in the game, even the first like 5-6 hours, a single day from my first morning dive until serving sushi was probably like half an hour. But now like a single day for me is at least like 4 hours long.
That's fucking crazy. It's wild. It's been a really good year for indie fishing games between this and Dredge. I think those are
true.
I mean, not saying they're necessarily on the same level in terms of quality or scope, but like they have a really good sense of identity, and I don't know. It's good. It's a good year for that kind of thing. All right. Has anybody else here been playing Final Fantasy XVI?
I have.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, came out with a big patch.
How much more have you played since we talked about it last week? I was kind of like perusing some of the comments that we've gotten from last week on like the YouTube video and whatnot, and some people seem to think that we like hate Final Fantasy 16. I was like, I feel like I know how you might.
It's got to earn its love, and let me tell you,
true.
I don't. It reminds me of the Jason Schreier thing, right? Where he's like, I'm really enjoying this game, but the story kind of takes a dive in the back third or whatever, and everyone's like, fuck you, how dare you, having never started the game. And I'm not there yet. Or when people put up there was an article saying, I think Final Fantasy 16 has a problem like having women be powerful or something, right? And it's one of these articles that where I'm in the game, I know exactly what they're talking about, because what the fuck, right? There's been like a pretty serious.
Like you're probably farther than I am.
There was a pretty serious scene, with, like a character death, right? Who knows if it's like a death, right? But it was a character death, and it's like. So I had issues with Benedicta, right? And now I'm being concerned about Jill, because there's a lot of times where there's so much going on, like action and drama and stakes and people dying, and she's just sort of standing there. And it's like, look, this doesn't make it doesn't.
Oh, she's being very passive in like scenes that where
passive.
She shouldn't be passive.
She is still like a person who can also turn into one of these elemental summon gods. Like, what is happening? Why is she just doing fucking nothing? And maybe she gets redeemed, or maybe she does something cool or whatever, and that's fine. But like where I'm at now, this shit fucking sucks. And like maybe by the end of the game I won't feel this way, but right now it's not good. Like, this is what I would call bad.
Prince of the Universe says
I can't just fucking assume that it gets better, because what the fuck?
Prince of the Universe says Jill's personality is Clive. I'm like, okay.
I mean, right now she's fucking the background. She's wallpaper. She might as well not be there. Half the time I forget she's even there, because she's not doing anything, and it doesn't make sense. If there's not some twist where she's like some supervillain and she's like letting all this stuff happen on purpose, like I'm gonna be disappointed, because it's not. Because even if she becomes a cool character, it's not suddenly gonna make sense why she did nothing in this very pivotal scene. That's still gonna be a thing, and that's still gonna exist, and that's still gonna be like horse shit. So I'm kind of mad. I'm mad about that character. I'm mad about Benedicta, and like those feelings are valid. I don't have to have.
I'm not far enough.
Don't only matter as a complete work, like as the thing is complete, right?
Right.
Feelings of as people going along should matter, and right now,
of course.
I'm not on a high. Like, I'm disappointed, and not to mention all the fucking MMO questy filler shit, which just drags the pacing down. Why couldn't this just be an Asura's Wrath game? There's so many high highs. Just let the thing stay high all the way through, because fuck.
Like, not many things in life can really hope to aspire to be an Asura's Wrath game.
They're not. The slow moments are not interesting enough. They're not. And they're not like good enough to be slow moments. I feel like a well I applaud like a well done like slow moment or like a subtle fucking quest line that has a little bit of like character development, but like there's not an that stuff isn't good enough for how much of it they're making you do, and it's frustrating me. It's
Crispy,
frustrating me.
what were you
I
starting to
get
say there?
bored playing this game a lot.
Crispy,
I agree.
In a game that has some of the least boring moments of the year.
He waited until I started talking. He waited. He waited out the pause. What is going on?
There's a delay.
No, there's not.
But I'm sorry. What'd you say? But I agree with the Benedictus stuff. I kind of stopped playing. I just kind of put it down.
That's fair.
You know what I did? You know what I did? I
renewed my Fantasy 4.
I renewed my 14 subscription, and I'm playing content in that, and like the story content is incredible.
Well, let me tell you where I'm at here.
It's
real
so
quick.
good. But yeah, I don't know. There's I feel like there are things in the story of this game that it's like in 14 they would not have stumbled there, you know, like the way the story goes in 16, and that is like 98% of what I was excited about from 16 was this is the team that did 14. I love 14. I particularly love the story of 14. So I was kind of hoping 16 would really scratch that same itch, and at first it kind of was, but there's like areas where it departs, and a lot of it has to do with characterizations of certain people who aren't Clive, that it just is like, okay, we're done with that now. Like, we gotta move on. We've only got 30 hours to fill. Like, and I feel like that they're leaving a lot of interesting stuff on the table for stuff that is less interesting. But
no, absolutely.
I'm even getting frustrated with Clive. He's whispering too much. All he does is whisper. Everyone else sounds like a normal person, and he's doing gravelly whispers. And I'm like, come on.
Sure.
You know what I was thinking the other day? I was like, Clive really reminds me of Henry Cavill's Geralt, like a lot. Just in terms of like the way he talks and carries himself or whatever. And but anyways, you know, I'm still trucking along in this game, and
so where are you?
I mean, if you're watching the footage, this is literally where I am in the story or whatever. I just got to the iron.
So it's either something super fucking exciting or super dull. Let me see.
Well, here's where I'm at, because Final Fantasy is such a. I mean, at least for a long time, Final Fantasy meant a lot to me, and I am enjoying this game, but I don't think I'm enjoying this game as a Final Fantasy game, like, at all. Because for the longest time, Final Fantasy to me was about that sense of freedom and exploration and stories that are, you know, the branching, the side quests and characters that you meet in like Final Fantasy 9 or Final Fantasy 10 or 8. They're just like, there's nothing in this game outside of the main quest that even comes close to touching the quality of side quests in previous Final Fantasy games. Even 12, I think, had better side quests, or at least the presentation was better. I get bored as fuck the moment I start diverging from the main quest in this game, because everything I do is like go over here, talk to this person. They're gonna like tell you they're gonna like give you this stiff ass animation and
you're talking about
dialogue.
side quests. You're talking about side quests.
I mean, side quests specifically is where I think I'm feeling the most frustrated.
I feel like most Final Fantasy games don't even really have side quests until like the last disc, you know, the last third of the game.
I mean, maybe, maybe,
like they're
but
pretty
like
linear games up until towards the end. A lot.
Say like halfway a lot of the time.
I mean,
yeah,
that's true, but like,
yeah.
I'm also comparing in my head the feeling I get like in any previous Final Fantasy game. I think up until maybe 10, even 12, I would go into like a city and I would talk to people, and I would hang on every word that people were saying, and I would feel like this has a sense of place. It feels like just as much effort is put into the way these characters talk and the way they integrate with your story. Like, it all feels like they considered it important. Everything outside of the main quest in this game feels bad. Like, it just feels
really
like the characters have no like life to them. The dialogue is just god awful. But then you go back to the main quest, and it's like the most jarring. Like, oh my god, this is amazing! Like, it's so like there's just like you said, so many highs. Just like the moment you do anything outside of that main quest, it's just kind of like, why is this game would be better if it was just completely linear and there was no diversion outside of this main quest. And I feel like
Are you
that's
on a
terrible.
side quest, Nick, or is this a main quest? No, you're further than me.
This is a main quest.
You're further than me.
I'm further than you?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like I said, anytime I'm doing,
I think the side quest stuff is really boring. And I think that
I pull up my phone almost every time.
Is very like, I think the quest design is very bad, right? Where you're just like finding people, talking to them, maybe fighting some things. Like there's like nothing there, right? You could really turn your brain off. But like, I do think like characters are like well realized. I think it's more just that there's no like, it's not very fantastical. Like it's not that, it's that the people themselves are boring. There's not like, oh, this is a village of like crazy dog people or whatever, you know, like it's just
there is
lots of boring
there is
people.
something to be said for the idea that, like, you know, they talked a lot about how like Game of Thrones like kind of inspired them for the story, and like they made like the whole design team, like the writing team, like watch all of Game of Thrones and things like that, which is fine. But like Game of Thrones is very much a deconstruction of high fantasy, which is maybe not what you want to do with a mainline Final Fantasy game. It's maybe not the tone you're trying to strike. Like,
well, here's the thing. I like
Matsuno
the tone.
has done that, and he's good at it. This is not. This doesn't feel very
but
Matsuno.
Like politicking and like tragic character arcs aren't really what make like.
I mean, it's not what
it's not exactly the same thing as like, I don't think what Matsuno's doing is necessarily like as like directly deconstructive of, you know, just kind of other fantasy games as like what A Song of Ice and Fire was trying to be. I don't know, maybe it is, but like
it felt like that's what that was to like Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
With like tactics and then like Vagrant Story and whatnot. And I think Matsuno's stuff feels way more A Song of Ice and Fire than this does. I thought this kind of had that energy like early on, but it definitely gets into like its own sort of.
Okay,
it kind of drops. Yeah.
Well, let me just say this, because so a couple things have transpired for me. I'm not sure if Brad has gotten to this point yet. I didn't. It sounded to me like the way you were describing it earlier, you were farther than me, but apparently that's not the case. So I don't know if you've. So a few things have happened for me. One, I've gotten to a new like kind of hub area in the game that feels way more expansive, way bigger than the one you kind of start out in. And that's where you
but
start
it's still this. I mean, you got to the desert arc.
Yes, but right past that point, you kind of get a new hub area, which I would imagine is kind of the hub for the rest of the game, right?
Yeah.
And okay, and I did a side quest that unlocked chocobos, so now when I go out into like an open area, I can ride a chocobo. But like my problem with that,
where you go?
Because these areas are not super expansive. A lot of them feel very linear. It's like, what is the point other than it takes me in a straight line faster? So like chocobos used to feel like they were very, very special. I don't feel like they
member
are
berries,
here.
Nick. You remember chocobos?
I think it's fucked up that chocobos and chickens exist in the same world. That don't seem right.
Crispy, you mentioned something. Oh my god, I just had a thought on top of my tongue. You mentioned something last week. I'll circle back around to it.
I mean, there's no way that they don't eat chocobos. Let's be real here.
Can I mention here that there was a really good patch for this game that fixed a lot of the issues I were having, but not all of them, frustratingly. So they give you the option to kill the motion blur, which is glorious. They gave you the option to unlock the camera, so it's not always auto correcting. So now I can actually look at the fucking world.
Oh, really?
You know, without it constantly fighting me, which I fucking hate. Like when the camera fights me, I don't even look at the environments. I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna look around as I'm moving around it if you're gonna fight me. And now it unlocks that. You have the option to turn that shit off, which is fucking great, especially now that the motion blur is gone, which means you can actually turn up the sensitivity now for the camera control without it being like fucking horrible. and they introduced 3 more sets of controls, which is nice. And I assumed there had to be what I was looking for in a control scheme now that there's 3 more, and they still don't have what I want. And it's really frustrating. I just wish they would patch in the ability to set the buttons to whatever the fuck you want. And I know a lot of more goes into like setting that control scheme than just swapping a bunch of buttons around, because this game has a lot of like prompts, it has a lot of like QTEs, it has a lot of like contextual
it's
like
a slippery
stuff.
slope once you start like actually modifying.
It's a lot
things.
but like there's just one thing I really want to do and I can't do it, and I'm finding it so frustrating that I can't get there. And now I'm just still on A. I'm still on type A because I can't get it to do what I want it to do.
It's funny, Brad, that you kind of bring up like controls and stuff. I eventually later on in Dave the Diver, sorry to quickly go back to Dave the Diver, you get like accessories, bracelets that kind of give you special abilities. And one of the ones I have is it gives you a dash
those,
ability.
by the way.
On your main boat, there's a yellow chest. You go there and you can interact with all your
stuff.
Your gear. Swap out weapons and stuff.
Yeah, your gear, weapons, anything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, it gives you a dash ability. So instead of having to use, when you sprint in Dave the Diver, it consumes your oxygen faster. So it gives you a dash, which is, you dash a decent distance and then it has to recharge. Well, that dash is on left control, and it's kind of like a weird thing for me to hit because I'm using mouse and keyboard. And I was like, well, let me remap it. And I'm like, well, let me remap it because I have like some extra mouse buttons. Not a whole lot. I don't have like one of those mice with like 48 buttons. It has like 2 extra buttons. I was like, let me map it to one of those so I can just hit it with my thumb. But the game doesn't let you do it. So I had to end up writing an auto hotkey script to map that mouse button to the left control, just so I can dash without having to because sometimes I'm doing stuff with that finger. Sometimes you have to press Z or Shift or something like that, and I can't be doing my dash or whatever. And it's just funny you're talking about like
I'm
control
surprised
stuff.
by the lack of options, honestly, in Dave the Diver, considering it wasn't early access for a while.
Yeah, we talked so much about how great the game is, but when you go into the menu, not of the phone menu of the game, the menu of the game Dave the Diver, holy shit, you can't do a whole lot. It's surprising how little you can do for how much polish is in this game. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Know how to respond. Thanks, Siri.
So
anyway, back to Final Fantasy 16.
Real quick, kind of got to go back to what you were saying about the Game of Thrones influence too. I feel like the bulk of where I at this point see that is in kind of just the like one of the things you can do now at the Hideaway is there's this one character that is completely focused on explaining the political state of the world to you. So you talk to her and she like tells you the current state of all the nations, like what's going on around the world, like who's in conflict with each other, and like what that means for Rosaria and all this stuff. And like I like when I'm listening to her talk and she's explaining all this stuff, I'm like, okay, this feels pretty like Westeros, right? But then you leave that conversation and I go and I talk to people around the Hideaway, or I go out into the world and do side quests, and it's just like night and fucking day. Like, and, oh yeah, what I was going to mention to you that you mentioned last week, Crispy, is how kind of heavy-handed some of the more sensitive subjects of the game are handled, specifically like the slavery thing, the bearers and everything. I did a side quest that was so... I was like... I mean, I obviously get what they're going for and why they're doing it, but it was just so distracting. And to me, everything about it just felt like poorly handled.
Like icky?
Yeah, icky, but like it was almost as I'm trying to figure out the best way to even describe this, but it was like somebody taking a subject as fucked up as slavery and writing like a side quest, and it's so like heavy-handed that it becomes like you can't help but like laugh at it, and I'm just I don't feel like I should, but I shouldn't be laughing at this. Like it's like it's the equivalent of, when people say like he's like a mustache twirling villain, right? And it's meant to be like he's just so like they do that, but like of course like slavery is like that subject is so fucked up why are like this character is like mustache twirling villain type thing is like
it's like gray
it's at odds.
Yeah,
like my brain is at odds with what I'm seeing in front of me, and then on top of that, the performance that's like conveying it is just so dry somehow.
I mean,
like the animations are all stiff, and I'm just like, this doesn't feel like the same amount of care
models look
was
very
put.
Generic.
The same amount of care was not put into everything outside of the main quest, and which brings me back.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I think that's that's kind of like what I was saying about the whole tone thing, where it's like you can do a really like good game that has really arch characters that aren't necessarily like super nuanced or anything, but they they have a position, they represent a way of viewing the world that they exist in. They're almost a little like exaggerated in their reactions and the way they and the way they like think about things. But if you're using that to try to tell like a nuanced story about like something that's a little more, that requires like a little bit more of like a maturity, a little bit more of like a like the tone, you get this weird imbalance. It's so hard to like walk on that knife's edge, and I just don't think they do a very great job. I mean, this kind of reminds me of the conversation we had about Detroit, right? Where it's like, again, like I don't think there's anything wrong with having art, with having stories that are about these like horrible subjects or about these like people doing horrible things to each other. Not every story has to be like, about like, oh, good guys and bad guys and
comfortable
and
not every
and like sword fights and magic. Like you can get into like some of the stuff, but like if you're doing it with like a weirdly non-specific tone and you're not really like saying anything about it, and you're just kind of like has it there for set dressing, like it can be distracting. It can kind of like pull the experience down, where it's like, I don't, like it's this yeah I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm really having a hard time organizing my thoughts here, but
to your point, like when those subjects are broached in the main quest line, they're not perfect, but I definitely feel like there is a level of care and maturity in the way they're approached that just doesn't, I don't feel, extends out to all the other stuff around it. And like Brad was talking about, like just the side quests, no matter how like you talk to some, right, and then they tell you they're trying to suggest this like really fucked up scenario that's happening in front of you or whatever, but like all the animations are so stiff, all the dialogue is so dry. It ends, and it always boils down to go talk to this person, fetch this thing, bring it back to them, or go to this place, fight a dude, or fight a creature, and then go back.
There's one verb for every quest in this game.
Then you're like, what did we just do? Like, what has happened? Like, what was the point of any of it?
And then on top of that, you get into this whole conversation about like the nature of this game as an RPG, and like I'm not like, I love Final Fantasy, but I also don't consider myself to be someone who's like closed-minded to the point where like I wouldn't welcome this game being an action game instead of an RPG. And I don't necessarily think it has to be an RPG to be successful or to be a Final Fantasy game. But this game, one, is not even remotely an RPG, even though it tries to pretend like it is. And the action,
the RPG stuff is bad and shallow, and what's there is not good.
Like I still like, since I've put like another 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever, into the game since we talked about it last week. I think I've changed one piece of equipment since then, and I didn't even have a choice. It was like either keep using the one you're using or upgrade to the next one that has like 10 more damage on it, right? And that's what I've been rolling with.
And 10 more magic damage.
Yeah, it's like I don't usually like to dig into like the nitty gritty of like numbers and stuff. Like that's more of like Brad's territory or whatever. But like this is actually getting to me, and that never happens. But like I enjoy the combat enough.
Last week I said I care more about like a new piece of equipment in Halls of Torment, and this week I care more about a new piece of equipment in Dave the Diver than I do in anything I'm getting in Final Fantasy XVI.
Yeah. And Boner Killer in chat is, I don't know if he's serious. He says, "Isn't every Final Fantasy a shallow RPG?" And
no,
I don't think so. Like I think about my time spent. I mean, obviously, Final Fantasy IX has long been my favorite, and I think about my time playing that game. And while I don't think the systems in that game are perfect or even like the best RPG system out there, like there is a metric fuck ton of equipment and abilities tied to that equipment that you can like you're constantly like making decisions about how your character is spec'd out so you can like learn new abilities and like that's just not even a part of this game, which would be fine, except for the action that kind of replaces those RPG elements is fun and flashy, but kind of repetitive. Like, I don't even think this is as good as like Devil May Cry in terms of you know. And again,
I popped in Dragon's Dogma for like 25 minutes the other day, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. The game's old as fuck, but coming off of Final Fantasy 16, I'm like, oh my god. I can't wait for Dragon's Dogma 2 because Final Fantasy 16 is a slog.
I still think this game has the potential. What's weird is I think this game has the potential to really be, like for me, like a highlight when I look back at the year. But that's at this point, I'm convinced that's gonna lie entirely on how the story plays out.
Yeah,
entirely.
That's how we started though. That's where we started on this game. I'll say this: I think like it's gonna have lots of shoe-ins for moment of the year. Bravo for it.
It has some great moments, and I honestly like Clive. I like Jill. I wish they were doing more with Jill.
Kingdom Heartsy.
There is one character that makes you go, "Oh my god, this character is straight out of Kingdom Hearts."
So bad. I never want to feel like that when playing this game. Yeah. But, oh my god, he exudes Kingdom Hearts.
But like, there's also a villain that I was like, "Oh, this guy's creepy as fuck." I like.
Does he wear a cloaked hood, like a?
Yes,
he absolutely does.
He looks like what's the main character from Kingdom Hearts 2?
Roxas. I know you're thinking of Roxas.
He looks a little like Roxas.
He talks like him too. That's the problem. He talks like a Kingdom Hearts character. Oh, that character's fucking frustrating too.
It's gonna get
noticed. This makes sense.
I'm calling it right now. That character is going to appear in Kingdom Hearts 4. Are we on 4 now? Yeah. He's going to be in Kingdom Hearts 4.
You know what I noticed? There's a little bit of backlash for this game, and that's fine. It's got its issues. It's also like a pretty fancy game. Whatever. I noticed some of the 14 fans are like quietly stepping back away from this one. It's like, okay. It's
so what, dude? Shut up.
It's
Who
fine.
cares?
It's fine. It's fine.
We have now talked.
What would you rather? Would you rather them be like, "Oh, I love this game. It's great. Yoshi P can do no wrong," and then you could just like fucking be like, "Oh, you goddamn shills, blah blah blah." Like,
no. I'm glad. I'm glad there's people being very honest about it, and that's good because if they didn't, then I would think less of Final Fantasy 14, and I still plan to do the 14 thing and expect it to be as great as everyone's saying. I believe y'all. But if y'all were shilling for this one, I'd be a little more skeptical, honestly.
So
I'm glad they're not.
I wanted to ask. So Nick, how far along are you in this game?
I'm about 23 hours into
23 hours? Okay. And this is probably what, like a 60, 70 hour game, probably?
I mean, according to my PlayStation Progress thing, I am 45% of the way through the game.
What does that mean?
Okay.
So whatever, I don't know whatever the fuck that means.
So
I'm probably gonna top out at like 55 hours. Like,
okay. So theoretically, you're more than a third, closing in on halfway through the game. Right. So there's a lot of things that have been turning me off on wanting to play this game. Like I'm not one for the Game of Thronesian dark fantasy tone that they're going for. But the thing that I really don't like is that there is no sign anywhere of a proper ensemble cast of characters. Like, is it really just you only play Clive and you only have Jill and your dog with you? Is that it?
So again, I can't comment on anything past the point where I'm at, obviously, right now. Clive is the only character you control. You have support characters, and you have what they call party characters. So like when I go into my menu, it shows your party, and it will show you, Jill, and Torgal, which is the dog.
That just feels like such a bad decision.
You occasionally pick up characters that join your party temporarily, and they show up as guest characters. And it looks like there's space for additional characters that will eventually come along and be part of the group or whatever. But you will never control those people directly. Okay. Those people, you don't control their abilities. You don't equip them with anything.
We've known that for years.
Honestly, I haven't been paying attention.
I mean, because I think it is important to stress that like, the game this is like there's a reason people have been comparing this to Devil May Cry more than Final Fantasy, because the focus of the game is entirely around. It's a character action game. Clive is the character, and you are controlling the action
You
of
say
Clive.
that, but in the last one, Devil May Cry game, you played as 3 different characters.
Yes.
And you played as multiple characters and a handful of them.
Sure, that's fair.
That's fair. And you feel that ensemble, honestly, in those games.
Yeah.
I think the potential is there for
you feel an ensemble here. I mean, you do. You're just not playing as them.
Okay.
I mean, like the central characters feel. I mean,
they're always in the world with you, right? And they are talking, and you are having conversations. I mean,
I feel like the protagonist cast of every Final Fantasy game I've ever played has been one of the strongest points of those experiences.
You're right. And this game needs that. Like even Final Fantasy 15, like for all its faults, it's like you were never mad about the boys, right? You know, because it added to the game. All these games fucking need that. And when they do it good, it's like that's the sauce. And honestly, I think if the game really did have like a really good sense of party, which it kind of doesn't, and it wasn't so focused on one character, then it would feel like a much better game, honestly. Like I've always talked about Tell's games for years, right, on this podcast, and those are games with so many problems, but at the end of the day, they're always like successful for me because they spend so much time with that party and with those relationships and building those relationships.
Yeah.
And evolving those relationships and all that. And like this, too much of that's happening in cutscenes and not enough is happening.
So,
as you walk around the world or as you're camping, there's no, you need the moments to where it feels like a party. And
this is, what sucks is that, we've spent 2.5 shows basically. We talked about the demo, and then we spent 2 shows now having long conversations about this game, and it's been largely negative. It sounds very negative, and which is fine. But my time in between these podcasts, right? I feel like I spend a week playing this game and having a good time and enjoying, for the most part, what I'm experiencing. But then I come to the show, and then I just feel like I have to vent. I have to fucking get it all out. Because there are things that really genuinely bother me about this game. Like, I don't know if it's
Have you done Titan yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But I've done,
I've heard from many people that's like a fucking highlight. It's really awesome.
I mean, anything involving the icons in this game is a highlight. Like, I don't want to spoil any of those moments, but like anytime Ifrit is involved or, Rama, like those moments are incredible. Which is a big problem Final Fantasy 15 had. Like they felt like an afterthought, and here they feel like the centerpiece of these games in a lot of ways.
But are they more than just a visual spectacle? They should have made
Nasura's Wrath then, because man, if it was all that stuff, this game would be like an incredible 20-hour experience.
Sorry, what was your question, Chris Davis?
I mean, as far as the icons go, like my question was, are they more than just a spectacle and event piece? Are they characters?
No. So
why would they be characters?
I mean,
because they have been characters in the past games.
They're spectacle.
There are more characters here than any other Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, you're not talking to them. Like they're basically gods that show up during pivotal moments of the story, and there's giant, amazing, epic set pieces. I mean,
if you're talking about the dominance, though, like the dominant, for me, the dominants are these characters.
I mean, to be honest, I think the pinnacle of the summon system in any Final Fantasy game has been Final Fantasy X, because the entire story was around Yuna traveling around collecting these summons, and she had this like deep relationship with them, like she was in tune with them and stuff, and they felt like characters in a sense in that game. But I feel like that was kind of an outlier. Like they've never a lot of times they don't.
I mean, they've experimented with things like in Final Fantasy VIII, when you encounter Ifrit is a conscious god that you have to go fight. Like he interacts with you.
Chris Davis, I don't know what you're getting at, but like if you want like cool stuff with the summons, this is that game. That's like the only cool shit in this game. So,
you know what,
Chris Davis, that's not where you're gonna be disappointed.
You know what does summons as like a story point better?
Okay, shut up.
Shut up! Don't say it, Chris.
Because they have 1,000 hours to like.
Because they have 1,000 hours, and it's great, and like, oh, so good. It like
Chris
I don't know.
Davis.
Also, it has some of like the lowest lows of any like grindy ass patch quests ever, over and over and over and over again.
Let's not open this can of worms here because you know where it'll lead.
Yeah,
But Chris Davis, the icon moments in this game are kaiju fights, like straight up. They're kaiju fights. That should be the most exciting thing in the world to you, knowing
kaiju
what we know
are
about
great, but like there's also been a metric fuck ton of kaiju stuff out there. So like,
he wants
you're
to
like
talk
a
to
Godzilla
Godzilla.
super fan. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm a
wants to talk
Godzilla super
Godzilla.
fan.
You're a kaiju super fan. You loved a game called Kaiju Wars because it was about kaijus. Like that
it was much more than that, sir. It was much more than that.
No, he
Davis,
wants
all I'm
specifically
saying
Godzilla type kaiju in cities. I mean, it's not just any big monster. I think.
Chris Davis, all I'm saying is I don't think you're going to be disappointed by the way icons are developed and featured in this game.
Are you even going to play this? This doesn't.
That's
seem
the
like
thing
your
that
bag.
everybody loves about this game.
I mean, that is not the big attraction thing to me. My attraction thing was going to be the characters and their interactions and the journey of an ensemble cast, and that's what I think of when I think of a Final Fantasy game.
People love Gav.
You know, the icons, sure, they sound exciting, and I'm sure those are wonderful set pieces, but those feel like set dressing to what I want out of a Final Fantasy game.
I mean, I can tell you right now, if that's what you want out of this Final Fantasy game, this is not the game for you because the we need to move on. But
you say that, but like Sid's awesome. Like the core cast, including the dominants, are like there's a lot of like. I mean, there's a lot of like fun scenery chewing. It's
Sid.
That's the good stuff. The stuff you want is good.
Okay,
it's there.
Yeah, so
honestly,
it's a shame that like the conversation feels mostly negative because there is a lot of stuff I think to like about this game, but there's also just a lot to unpack here, and a lot things you kind of have to come to terms with, especially because Final Fantasy, especially over the last like decade, has been a franchise that's like all about like kind of experimentation and like kind of seeing what people like have like loved about the series for ages, and then kind of intentionally trying to like do something different.
Yeah.
And for better or worse. And I think this is just as kind of like weird and experimental in a lot of ways as like Final Fantasy 13 was and Final Fantasy 15 was. And I think all of these games have problems, and none of them are the same problems.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You can keep going. 13 is very different from 12, which is very different from 10. I think
everybody thinks about this. I think everybody thinks about this period in time where we got 7, 8, 9, and 10 maybe when and like but like, and I know there's Final Fantasy games prior to this, but there was this window of time where the PS1 era and early PS2 era, I think they kind of like kept knocking it out of the park in terms of like the things they experimented with mostly turned out to be successful, I think, and I just don't think they've had like the risks that they've taken with the series since 10. I think have been mostly.
I think your nostalgia is showing a little bit though, because none of what you're saying is wrong, but like isolating those parts of it. I mean, there's also like 4, 5, and 6 are like amazing, and like 10 you shouldn't lump with the PS1 games because it's not a PS1 game. You put it with 12, you know.
Then maybe I should have said 7 through 9. I mean, like, but like
1 through.
I don't know how to put 12. This because
what about 14?
I'm playing Final Fantasy 6 right now for the first time, and it's got a great story and a great cast, but it also seems like kind of like. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without setting some people off.
When's the last time you touched that or even thought about it?
I played it a couple days ago. I'm just moving very slowly because, dude, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a fucking lot of stuff out there to play right now. But Final Fantasy VI just to me it's like it's a really good JRPG, but it's like it's kind of how in my head I like when someone says, what is a JRPG? I'm like, well, let's look at Final Fantasy VI. Like that is kind of like that seems like the template for traditional JRPGs. And we had that big conversation way back about should we even retire the word JRPG? Maybe we should just say RPG. Whatever. The point is, they started experimenting a lot, starting with 7. I think a lot in terms of systems and whatnot, and that tradition kind of continued. And then somewhere along the line, all the experimentation they started doing, it just seemed like there were more L's than W's. And I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
The conversation's weird because, hey, 8 fucking sucks, Nick. Sorry. There's no like era of what I'm saying. Coming from me, every single Final Fantasy fan has ones that they hate and they have ones that love and they love. And there's not like a group that's like any better than any other, right? Like you might think 6 is old and too spritey for you, but like it's on my top 10 games of all time. It's way better than 9, right? Like
this is me just struggling to find the words to describe what I'm saying.
Final Fantasy is always different, and this one's different, and that's great. I can't wait to see the next one.
I'm just saying,
I get it.
13. I know you're right, but like 13, they struggled with 13, and ever since 13, it just feels like they've 14 being the outlier, but it's also an MMO, which is a 13s. Right. That's part of the problem. But like, just I feel like Final Fantasy just stopped resonating as strongly as it did, starting with 13 onward. 14 being like, if you are the kind of person who can let yourself get swept up into an MMO and get into Final Fantasy 14, like really into Final Fantasy 14, that seems like maybe the only safe bet for you in terms of what the series has been over the last decade. And Fantasy used to be kind of to me used to be like Zelda. It used to be kind of like Final Fantasy is pretty much a guaranteed banger for the most part, and I just don't feel like it's been that way for a long time.
This is the conversation to have after we've all finished 16. Really,
probably, yeah.
That's true.
Well, but 14 is really, really good.
I know
it doesn't count.
I know it's a shame.
Why does no one talk about 11?
Why don't we some people do
11 and 12 together? The PS2 era is 10, 11, and 12.
I knew I shouldn't have lumped anything together because I was just going to set Brad off. And
dude, a friend of mine.
I love 7 as much as anyone, but I don't love 8, and I think 9 is also underwhelming. So
when I was
different Final Fantasies.
When I was in late middle school, early high school, a friend of mine had the PS2 version of Final Fantasy XI with like the modem that you stick in the back of the PS2 and everything. And that was the moment I realized that he was like kind of rich. Like I was like, oh wow.
I had a friend like that too. That had because while I had a PS2, I never had the network adapter, and Final Fantasy XI came out, and like I couldn't afford a monthly fee or whatever. And he was playing it, and he was just telling me all he would do in the game is fish. And I was like, dude, you have all this like money and time and access to this like great RPG, and you just fish all the time. But now I'm playing Dave the Diver, so I mean,
Yeah, there are people like that in 14 too.
All right, maybe I should have allowed this conversation to move on a long time ago.
Whatever. I mean, that's the thing. I don't love 13 or 15 either, but like they were trying something new, and I'll never be mad at them for it. So, and I'm probably not going to be mad at them about 16. But let's have this conversation once we finish this game. I'm just seeing
so much. You're right. Let's just. I mean, but at this point, I'm worried nobody else is going to finish it. I'm gonna finish it.
About? Why do you say that? Why would you say that?
I don't know.
I mean,
Crispy already basically said he put it down. No one has.
I was never gonna finish it. Even if I loved it, I was not gonna finish it. I mean, let's be honest. Let's just be honest for a second.
But like, are you worried about me in 16?
No, not really.
Then let's talk about it at the end of the year.
I know. Yeah. It just.
If it goes on sale in the next few months, I'll pick it up.
I mean, I play slowly. I haven't played as much as you, but I mean, how much Darkest Dungeon 2 have you played, Nick?
Let's wrap this show up. Yeah. Let's do 4-player minute. It's frustrating because this has been one of my most anticipated games of the year, and I am enjoying it. Yet somehow, when we come on here to talk about it, everything sounds dire. I
think just like what's wrong with it is a more interesting conversation than what's good about it, because what's good about it is just kind of like, oh, it's pretty, like, and the icons are fun. It's not like
even that. It's just been disappointing in a lot of ways. I think that's just the truth, and that's why we're talking about those things.
I'm not saying it's not the truth. I'm not saying.
But it's okay to have complex feelings.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I know.
Well, on
the
the internet, it's not. It's
on
like you
the
love
internet,
something or you hate something. You love something. Not even the internet or Discord. You either love something or you hate something.
Hell yeah.
There's no in between. And by the way, you can never change your mind. You're never allowed to have once liked something and now you don't.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Blood in, blood out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100% love or hate, and you always have to be consistent.
Hell
or
yeah.
or people are mad at you or something.
All right. On that note, Brad, you want to start us off? 4-player minute.
Sure. My 4-player minute is just about maybe Dragon Age. Not Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate, and how much like God, my God. So
yeah.
Last stream we did this thing. I did this thing with Malia, right? And it was like there's certain games where she's very stubborn about knowing nothing about it. She'll glance at a trailer and say, "Yeah, I'm not going to watch you play that. That is the type of game I'm not going to watch you play." So, let's what do you got that fits into my lane or whatever, right? Which is usually very like story driven games, which makes sense, right? If you're a viewer, you want lots of story. But I'm like, no, I mean, you might not see the charms of Dragon's Dogma at a glance, but give me 30 minutes to kind of show you why it's cool, and maybe you can realize that a story can be told through the gameplay systems. But like, you're never going to get that at a glance, right? So she's watching me play it over my shoulder. It's still going to seem uninteresting to her. But if she sits down and is invested in it and listens to what I have to say, then maybe a game doesn't need a lot of story to be like really exciting to watch. So the idea was to pick 5 games, and I have half an hour to kind of like sell her on the game, right? And she decides at the end of the night, oh yeah, I'll watch you play this game that I knew for sure I was never going to watch you play. Anyways, one of them was Dragon's Dogma, and this was kind of like a prank, right? Because she notoriously hates this game, and it's not because she ever watched me play it, but it was just because I like stayed up till like 5 o'clock in the morning every night when I was playing that game because it's Dragon's Dogma and that game is crazy. So she sort of resented that game. But I don't know if she was impressed, but my God, turning that game on for 30 minutes, I was like, oh my God, I love Dragon's Dogma so much. So, and I think
Malia, get out of here.
If you can feel like the positive vibes and energy coming off of that game, and if that's not enough for you, then hey, maybe it's not for you. But man, I'm fucking sold on it, so I'll be replaying that. The second game I played is Baldur's Gate because she hates like little people games. Like if it's a little person game,
let's
they're
slow down
called
there.
halflings, Brad.
Like she's not gonna watch me play like an XCOM or a strategy game because they're little people games, right? Like the games where it's zoomed out, isometric, and the characters are little.
There's a phrase called isometric. Brad.
Yeah, say that. Say that.
But no, I'm saying to her, they're the ones where the people are little, right?
Isometric
on the screen.
People, Brad.
Isometric people games, right? But I'm like, oh, well, she's not going to watch me play Divinity Original Sin, right? But this one has a lot more like cinematic cutscenes. It's zoomed in on those. Like maybe she'll get into that. And my God, I was on cloud. So like I told myself I would never play Baldur's Gate while it's in early access, but this was sort of like a preview of like, look, this comes out in a month. Oh my God, it comes out in a month, less than a month. And I want you like, I'm going to play this shit, a lot of this shit. Maybe you can be into it. Again, no idea if she's actually into it, but I was on cloud 9 playing that fucking game. I can't wait now.
Good.
Holy shit. It's so good. It's so good.
How far did you actually get? You only played like 30 minutes?
I mean, I just played each of these games for half an hour, so I didn't get far at all. And I didn't want to. And again, no idea if she's into it, but man, I'm fucking into it. And then I turned on Death Stranding because I showed her like one trailer of this, and she's like, "This is that fucking Mailman game. I'm not gonna watch this shit."
Mailman?
And I was skipping like every cutscene, and she wasn't into it at all. This one is like a definite no, but man, I'm kind of into that. I've never played Death Stranding. I've never played more than like 15 minutes of it.
It's good. It's
good. So good.
It just feels good to like run around the world.
It's got some good things.
Well, this is the director's cut, Chris Davis. I don't know what game you played, but the director's cut's super interesting now.
I want to try that.
And then we got tired, and I made her go. I didn't make her keep watching games. She went to bed, probably because of Kojima cutscenes, and then I just played a lot of Tears of the Kingdom, and then I turned on God, what else did I turn on? I don't know, but like after playing these games, it was like, dude, these are like video games are awesome. This has been a great year so far, and I think I just played like another hour of or a couple hours of Tears of the Kingdom, and I like stayed up till like 1 a.m, and I'm like, I never do that, and it's just because these fucking games are so good. And my god, I can't wait.
Yep.
I'm fuck, shit's good. Baldur's Gate 3, Nick. This is the one. I know you're like, I own Divinity.
No.
Or
I am super excited for Baldur's Gate 3. My problem with Baldur's Gate 3 is that like all this talk about it being like an average playthrough being 100 hours, like even if you're not like doing like that was like a big
take 4 years to play. Who cares? Like
with like playtesters, they're finding that the average run through of the game just doing like not doing everything, not doing side quests is just like 100 hours.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Who can? No, they said like 70 to 100, but like who cares? Like 1 hour of Baldur's Gate will be like more interesting than 5 hours of Final Fantasy.
70 hours in this year is a pretty big commitment.
You can make.
You don't understand. It's just like there's so much to play, and that game is going to.
This is better than the other much. This is better than the other much, Nick.
Yeah.
This
is the one you need to like not miss.
Starfield though, what the?
No, I would say this over Starfield. Honestly, like this. You've experienced what Starfield has to offer more or less because you've played a lot of Bethesda Game Studios games, right? But you've never played a Larian game, and you've never played a Baldur's Gate game.
God, you're talking to me like I already haven't. Like I haven't already convinced myself. Like I have already committed to playing this game. Like I am 100% playing Baldur's Gate 3. You say that a lot,
and I know you're going to buy it, or you probably already pre-ordered it. But I'm saying this one's even for you, Nick. I think because I don't think Divinity was ever for you.
He said I was going to play it. Stop attacking me.
I'm not attacking you. I'm saying finish the.
This is the one. Guys. This is the one. RPGs. Like remember how a couple times we tried to do like D&D in person and like record it and like it didn't quite work. This is a game we could all like 4 of us could play together co-op, and it's just D&D. Like it is D&D. Like that.
Yeah.
That is crazy exciting. That is crazy exciting.
Here's my problem. Like, is it the kind of is it the kind of thing where if you're gonna play it co-op, you have to commit to playing the whole thing co-op, or is it like drop in, drop out? Like, I just don't know how that works.
I mean, like when they were talking that same statement where they were talking about like the amount of playtime that people were taking, they were talking about like groups just like kind of playing this as D&D, where like they'll play for like 4 hours a week, you know, kind of like as their regular. So I would say if you're doing like a co-op playthrough, you're doing that with those people.
And this,
what I was,
like the co-op stuff is super good in these games. Like it was really good in Original Sin 2, and I'm sure it's going to be good here. But Nick, this is going to be a single player game for you, and that's fine. But like,
you're not going to. I
know you're the person who's like, oh, I wish, or like Chris Davis, or anybody here, like you want good story in games, you want good characters, you want good choice, you want good ensembles.
I know.
Like, this shit is going to be, what we've been missing from BioWare, what we've been missing from. Honestly, Bethesda Game Studios for years. Like it's going to really have the freedom. It's going to have the characters. It's going to have the story. This is the one.
I know. It's really just me being frustrated right now. Is really just you thinking that I don't already know this. Like I know it. I am on the hype train with you. We're in the same train car. Like I'm ready for Baldur's Gate 3. It's just a lot of games. There's so many games.
You can be a gnome.
Oh, well then fuck me. That's what I'm doing.
Or a halfling, or a dwarf.
Like there's
3 for you, Nick.
A dozen different races you can be.
All right.
Speaking of my 4-player minute, it's my turn to go.
Go ahead.
Speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, they did also announce 2 new races, which they've added into the game. They added half-orcs, and they added Dragonborn, and the Dragonborn look fucking cool as shit.
Wait, are they called Dragonborn? Isn't that just
no?
That's not.
If you say fucking elders, if you fucking come at me with like elders, like you fucking little bitch, you fucking little new bitch, don't you fucking bring that goddamn Todd Howard shit up in my face. But like the Dragonborn in D&D are actually like dragon people, though. They're like people who were
yes,
who were like look lizardy and look like, and they're born from the different types of chromatic and metallic dragons, so they all have different elemental associations, which is really fucking cool, and it's great, and they look awesome. And they announced
all of you to watch the cutscene, the sex scene with the druid that was released today. Like it is.
Oh yeah,
it's not just like a short little cutscene. It's a thing. There's more voice acting in that than there is in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, they did their last panel from Hell today, or was it today or yesterday? I think it was today. I don't know. And they were talking about a bunch of stuff that they'd already announced, but then they announced like they announced the last like origin character.
Did you hear what it is? Like
the
last origin?
The hunger or something like that. Like
no, it's not the hunger. It's the like the dark urge. It's called the dark urge, and it's sort of like an amnesiac character who's just driven by like, I guess, dark urges. It sounds
dark urge character.
Oh my god! Like
it looks crazy. That game looks insane. I was gonna say a whole bunch of stuff, and I can't even like it's not, it's pointless to just run down a list of everything that's gonna be so cool about this game, because it's all gonna be great. I like the one thing that I'm really focused on right now, like the one thing that we're talking about maybe our disappointments or shortcomings with Final Fantasy 16, and like maybe that idea of like, oh, I kind of miss having like that full party thing, like that vibe of like a whole group of people that I'm like on this adventure with. And like, let me tell you something, even when they first started the early access period, like that shit was on point in Baldur's Gate. Like the new characters that they're introducing in this game, the origin characters that are all going to be like your buddies, like Gale and Shadowheart and all them, like are so fucking cool. They are like right out of the gate. I love them all. I like you have these like wonderful moments and encounters. They have like, they fleshed out the whole like resting system, so now you have like a camp where you go and like you can talk to everybody and kind of like strategize and plan or switch them out, and that shit alone has me excited. On top of the 5 billion other things that this game looks like it's going to be doing.
Jaheira, Minsk, they're just there. They're just characters that are in your party. I
don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Like, this game comes out at a very inopportune time for me. Like, this is going to be the game that ruins my life. So
Great,
can't wait. Can't wait.
All right.
Dragonborns. Be a dragon. You can be a Dragonborn Gloomstalker Ranger. Like,
sounds pretty sweet.
Watch the sex scene cutscene.
I will watch
it. It is
I will
insane.
I'll watch the porn after this.
It's horny.
A bear smiles from ear to ear.
It's horny. And a squirrel drops a nut.
I'm passing it over to Nolan.
Remember, there's a difference between a bear in the wild who has no like choice in the matter versus a druid. Okay, there's a difference, y'all. When the conversation of bestiality has been discussed a lot today, and yeah, watch the cutscene.
Does that have to be a tag for the podcast tonight? Then
bear consent is important. Exactly.
Bear consent is important.
Well, I think the bear.
Oh my god, guys, that's the name of tonight's show, the Bear Consent Show. All right, Nolan.
All right, my 4-player minute
consensual.
My hype is for more Dave the Diver. Like I said, every time I play, I feel like something new and fun is happening, and I'm just, like I said, even when I was recording footage, like new stuff that I never saw coming happened. So definitely excited to play more of that, which kind of leads me on to my sweat, which is for both Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy XVI. Both two games that I have nothing against currently. It's one of those things, I haven't even started 16, but Tears of the Kingdom, it's one of those things where while I'm playing it, I'm like, I don't want to be doing anything else right now. But then like it's hard to like pick up the controller when I'm like, oh, let me just do a quick dive and Dave the Diver, and all of a sudden it's like 2 hours later. So that's tough. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely going to finish Tears of the Kingdom, though. I'm probably going to wrap up Dave the Diver maybe, and then get back to Tears of the Kingdom because I do love that game.
Tears of the Kingdom still constantly blows my mind.
Robin picked up Tears of the Kingdom, and she's playing it now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then my other sweaty week goes to movies. There's a whole lot going on right now in movie theaters and stuff. But the problem is because, we took so much time off of movies and then we moved to a new house, and it seems like Butters is just kind of being a little dick when we leave him home alone, and he's been like eating stuff he shouldn't be eating. He ate like a bunch, like part of like a towel the other day. And that's just always super stressful. When it comes to like dogs eating stuff like that.
He's not getting enough fiber in his diet.
Do towels have fiber?
No. And so it's just like frustrating, and it's leaving him home alone for like approximately 4 hours has become a pain. And so
well,
that's
then maybe
maybe what. It's just one of those things where, like, if we were to leave him home alone, it's like an hour of prep work to try to make sure there's nothing he can do, and we feel like for so long we've been good at that, but he just finds new ways to be a little dick when we're home alone. Kato just sleeps the whole time.
So
maybe you and Kato should go see Spider-Verse and Butters can stay
yeah, maybe. To Hobo Core's question in chat, yes, he has mad separation anxiety for sure.
So my mother's dogs, one of them has a real bad fear of fireworks. Like she freaks the fuck out. So a few days ago it was really bad. But they tried out some hemp treats for her.
Yeah,
works really well. So I'm just saying, you could just
maybe worth looking into.
Get your dog's bait.
Hyde also was a very like high anxiety dog, and I think one 4th of July we went to my parents, and we had someone checking in on him, but still he managed to like eat a hole through the drywall trying to get out of the fucking house, man.
Yeah,
he did not do well.
That's a really funny mental picture, just the dog gnawing on the drywall. Okay, my 4-player minute starts now. Oh man, Final Fantasy XVI thing kind of has me bummed, which is weird because I'm also like when I sit down to play it, I'm enjoying it. So
highs and lows, man.
Highs and lows, man.
That's why we have moment of the year and boss fight of the year.
Like I feel like if I just started mainlining Final Fantasy 16 now and just did solely main questline stuff, it could still have a shot at my top 10. But if I just like ignore all the side shit,
that's crazy. Hey, what do you like more, Chained Echoes or Final Fantasy 16?
Chained Echoes, man. Chained Echoes is fantastic. Anyways, but let's see. On a happier note, I suppose. Fuck video games, man. I am so goddamn excited for new Mission Impossible movie next week. I got my tickets for Friday, and that's 7 days away from now, and I cannot fucking wait. I never would have expected, because the trajectory of that franchise in the beginning seemed like it was never going to be destined to like become the new like flagship action franchise. There's always going to be James Bond. There's always going to be like the best, that kind of thing. And I'm obviously a big Bourne fan, and to see that franchise just kind of like over the past 4 films, 5, or is it 4? I guess, yeah, I'm counting Mission Impossible 3 because I actually do really like that movie, even though I know a lot of people
great.
don't. I love
Philip
3.
Seymour Hoffman is fantastic in that movie.
A lot of people consider that just as bad as 2, which blows my mind.
It's just such a weird tonal shift in those first 3 movies.
I mean, the first 3 movies feel like different, like they're all part of a different franchise almost.
Yes.
And then 4 is where it kind of finally found its identity, and it just kind of like ran with it from there. Like for the longest time, Mission Impossible seemed like it was gonna be one of those like things where it's like the gimmick was they were just gonna keep handing it off from one director to another, and each one was gonna put their own like stamp on it, right? I mean, which in and of itself is cool. It's a really cool concept.
I mean, it didn't even feel like it was meant to be like a singular franchise. It was just experimental pieces.
Yeah, Right, and then at some point it kind of got on a track, and they found Christopher McQuarrie, who did Rogue Nation, and even Ghost Protocol was great too, but that was a different director, but it still feels like a cohesive part of that franchise, and it's just like it's just somehow gotten better over the past 4 films, and it just and the reception so far of this new one seems really great, and I'm just over the moon excited to watch it. It's one of those movies that's going to be it's like I'm so excited it's going to be a painful 7 days to watch it. Like this movie is 163 minutes long, and every review I've read says that it fucking flies. Like it does not feel like you do not feel its runtime.
I was really shocked that they brought back fucking Henry Czerny for this movie. Like,
yeah.
Why? But okay,
he was only in the first film. Like he was a character in the first film, and then he disappeared, and they're brought back. For this.
But that's because like franchise stuff is obsessed with that these days. They don't care if that actor is like at the bottom of a ditch. They'll track him down to get him in the new movie, right?
But like even that, it felt like a real big pull, like to just out of nowhere.
It's cool. I mean, it's just. Say what you will about the franchise. I think it works wonderfully well, and it's still some of the most entertaining like action films ever made at this point, and it just gets me super excited.
Entertaining, and I've seen them all. At least I think it's the kind of thing where like I have no idea if I saw the last one, but I feel like it's that type of franchise.
Reloads his
That was
arms.
the last one. Okay,
that was the last one.
That was a while ago.
He made a mustache materialize out of it.
No, I watched it. I watched that one. It was good.
Yeah.
I don't know the story of any of these. So like the fact that they're all connected now, like more closely connected.
Ever since 3, they've been loosely connected.
Because I watch them as action movies, and they're good as action movies, right?
Yeah.
Just like I didn't care about all the fucking connections in like Top Gun. They're bringing back characters. It's like, what are you doing? No one cares about the guy that was outside of like key characters like Val Kilmer, but you know what I mean. Like I'd see some random lady, and I'm like, am I supposed to know who that is? Was that like a young person in the other one? Just
Mission Impossible has reached a status. Mission Impossible for me has reached a status where I do know all the characters, like all the supporting characters that appear from one to the next, and I remember what happened in the last one, like that kind of thing, which is I never would have expected to get to that point in a franchise like this.
Where's Emilio Estevez? When are they bringing him back?
I know a lot of people.
Brad does not remember the first movie.
Yeah, that guy died in an elevator shaft.
I do that.
But I mean, they could bring him back.
Dude, that scene actually scared the shit out of me.
Let me ask you something, Nick. Is JJ still involved with the series?
No. I mean, maybe as a producer or something, but he's not like creatively involved.
JJ.
I mean, he directed the third one, and I love that movie, but like I think he's been very, very uninvolved, unattached for the most part of these. It's really a Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise show at this point. Like they everything creatively kind of falls on them, so whatever. But yeah, I know we all went a little long on 4-player minute, but fuck it. Oh, what's up, Nolan?
One more thing I forgot to bring it up, because we obviously have been talking about a lot of things and different topics, and earlier we were talking about like watching stuff, and I forgot to bring up that Bernadette and I watched Silo.
The show?
Yeah, the show Silo on Apple TV. I had heard so many people talking positively about it and saying, "Oh my God, Silo's so good, blah blah blah," all this stuff. And I was like, hey, Bernadette, so many people. Do you want to watch the Silo show? Everyone's been talking about it. She's like, sure. So we sit down to watch it. 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds into it, I was like, I think I've read this book. And it's because the book is named Wool. And I had no idea.
It's Wool? I've read that book.
It's based on, because Joel recommended it to you probably, because he recommended it to me. So yes, Silo, Nick, is Wool.
What the fuck?
Amazing book. I loved it. It's a book. It's technically a series of novellas. It's like I think 3 or 4. I can't remember. I read them as they consolidated them all into one omnibus. But yeah, I had no idea. In like 30 seconds, 40 seconds into the show, I was like, what the fuck? And I just Googled it real quick, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I know what's going to happen in this. And yes, let's watch it. It's fantastic. It's really good.
Nice. All right, cool. Good to know. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm totally going to watch that.
Does that mean
now.
you're not going to keep watching your current Hulu show?
No, I'm going to keep watching. Okay. I'm still going.
You deleted you changed the password? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? We were already signed in.
This motherfucker was leeching off of my Hulu, my paid Hulu app.
There was already a shit ton of accounts on there. Why did you kick me off?
We cleared all of them off.
Because the term of service says you're not allowed to share passwords, Bradley.
Oh my god, that was like fucking
cold-blooded. Also, I didn't want you secretly like tracking how my progress as I was watching.
Give a shit about what you watched. The new season of The Bear was coming out, and
y'all didn't get this on the podcast. I'm going to tell the story real quick. I sold my old TV to Brad. Right, I take the TV over to Brad's, and he was the entire time he was asking me about like, is it a smart TV? I was like, yeah, it's got all the apps and stuff. I never use it, whatever. So I pretty much only had it in my room where I use it to play games. That was pretty much it. So I take it over, I give him the TV, and then like a couple of days later, he texts me and he goes, "Motherfucker, are you watching Bones?" And I was like, did my fucking TV just out me to Brad as like what I'm watching? And he was like, yes, it did. And then he looked at like
7 of
Bones. He was like, he could tell me like exactly what season I was on and what episode I was on. And I was like, this motherfucker.
Jesus. You just don't want me to see you rewatching Smallville.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
but you had the version you had the version of Hulu that also had like HBO or something.
I don't know how all that works now. Everything like if you have an HBO account and you have Hulu, it all just it's fucking weird. I don't know. Anyways, that's that. Anyways, we need to wrap this show up. Thanks for listening.
Yes, we do. Yes, with my 4-player minute.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I skipped Chris Davis.
Thank you, Nick. Yes, you did.
Damn. Oh, that's savage. Oh my god.
Right. We can get to Chris next week. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have time for Chris Davis.
Oh my god, Chris Davis. I'm so sorry. This has been a weird... You remember at the beginning of tonight, Chris, I was like, it's been a weird night. Like, I had like a weird string of luck. Like, this is just part of it. So
yes. My 4-player minute, which I will be very brief on. I wanted to mention 2 things. Number one, we've got a jam-packed Fantasy Critic coming up. We have 3 major releases releasing next week that we will have to talk about.
What are they?
Gravity Circuit,
Oxenfree
2, and another Carlos joint, Exoprimal. So,
sounds like a bunch of 70s to me.
Except Brad's also got Exoprimal as his counter pick, so that could be.
He's real hopeful here.
Give me the negative points. Be cool.
Like the next 6 weeks is really big because we've also got Viewfinder, Pikmin 4. I've got The Expanse, Baldur's Gate 3, Shadow Gambit, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and Blasphemous 2.
God, this is crazy, guys. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's fucking nuts.
I'm stressed out just thinking about it, about all the excitement.
Yeah, we have a lot to really get very angry about on the podcast in the next several weeks. The other thing I wanted to mention was that a game that I've been really wanting, really been following and been excited for, got an announced release date today. Spectre is coming out on July 24th.
Based on the 007 film?
Nope. It is a fan-made spiritual successor to Splinter Cell multiplayer.
You lost me at fan-made.
Well, this is an official product that's coming out. It's July 24th. As soon as the announcement trailer went live this morning, I immediately at the Splinter Cell tag. So I'm hoping to get some groups together for that. So just throwing that out there. Any Chaos Theory or Pandora Tomorrow fans out there, look up Spectre. That game is looking kind of cool. So
you said it's officially like an official product though? Like it's
This is a real product. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And there you have it. Now
that's it.
The episode is over. I apologize, everybody. I've been a scatterbrain. I hope you. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna leave it. My brain is going in 1,000 different directions. Thank you for listening.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm gonna fade it out. 4playernetwork.com, Discord, all that good stuff. Bye. Jesus Christ! What a terrible outro. What a terrible outro.
Wow. We've had worse.